Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, and welcome back to another episode of the Connecting Dots podcast. I personally am a big fan of Grafana. I use their tools every now and then at work, and honestly, I love the dashboards. Today, we have Shahzeb from Grafana, as you all might have noticed, and I'm very excited to be interviewing him today. It's been several years that I've known him, and honestly, his reputation is a very sound one that he's summoned when things don't work and he gets things done. So, with that, let's get started. And very welcome to the show. And how are you doing today, Shahzeb?
Thank you, Sama. I'm doing great, and it's like a pleasure to be on the show.
Awesome. So, with that, tell us a little bit about what your role as cloud integrations engineer entail. Like, I'll give you an example. If somebody were to say DevOps term, instantly I think of CI/CD, Jenkins, Blue Ocean, and whatnot, right? So, if somebody was to hear this term cloud integration engineer, what would be a brief summary of your role?
Yeah, so if you talk about just about the term integrations, integration as usually you can see like any system interacting with other systems. So like if you have like a software or product or anything, and if you have like some sort of connection with other products out there, that's basically an integration. And like in different companies and different products, integrations can be different. But specifically, what we have at Grafana is so since you have used Grafana, I think you're pretty much aware what it does. Like if someone hasn't, I'll just give a short introduction that Grafana is basically a tool where you can which connects to almost every data source. Like a lot of data sources out there. There's like a lot of plugins. You can connect it to a MySQL data source. You can connect it to a Prometheus data source. And basically the theme is that like unlike other data graphing and monitoring tools, it doesn't move your data. It leaves your data where it is. It connects to it, and you can combine data from like 10 different softwares into one dashboard. So that's what Grafana basically is. And so Grafana is like an open source product. So it's like it has been open source since 8 years. You can go out there, download a free copy, deploy it, or even contribute to the code. But also the Grafana, the company itself, so the developers behind Grafana, we also operate a cloud version of Grafana. That's Grafana Cloud, in which you don't have to go through all the hassle of deploying. You can just sign up on the cloud and you get an instance for yourself where you can operate your Grafana Cloud, and there's like a very generous free tier. So in specifically in Grafana Cloud, we have like a very easy onboarding process, like for people who don't really know like technicals of a software very much. So there's like a whole integrations page where you can just with a few clicks of a button, you can start monitoring any of your software. Like if you have a MySQL server that you want to monitor, you just click on the MySQL integration. It will install pre-made dashboards, alerts, and give you like a single command that you can run on your server, and it will start sending data to your cloud and showing it in the graphs. So that like my team is basically responsible for that whole page where we have like around 50 integrations now with 50 different softwares, and we're continuously working to create new ones and also improve on the existing ones.
That is so amazing that you're working with the state of the art right now, and that so many other companies, I believe, must be leveraging the power that Grafana is providing them with. So, along the lines, tell me, how did Grafana spark an interest in you? Like, was it the same thing that considering their beautiful dashboards?
So I think the thing that sparked interest for Grafana with me is like multiple levels. So in my previous company, the first interaction with Grafana was like when I was working like on a sort of a secondary DevOps assignment, and we had like sort of a pipeline which ran some automated tests, and all the results are like in raw text based form. So like the company technical lead wanted a very beautiful like dashboard or something like it to show the results. So immediately someone suggested me let have a look at Grafana. So what I did was like just read those raw text based results, push them in a SQL DB, and create beautiful dashboards out of it. So that was my first interaction. But then I have also done a lot of freelance development on my side, and like as a team we have created some multiple SaaS products for different clients. And the first thing we do is like as soon as we make it live, we create a Grafana dashboard, pair it up with it, which has like a Linux dashboard. It has like the user stats, how many users logging in, how many using them right now. So it was like a very easy, quick thing to set up, and the client found a lot of value into it, and like it looked so amazing. And a non-technical person always thought that we coded the dashboard itself. So they were like always blown out, like what a beautiful thing. So that's how like I was like interested in Grafana.
Okay, perfect. So along those lines, since the company is a very recent one, well, not too recent, but I mean, it's not that old either. So tell us a little bit about what the work culture is like, and is the company an advocate of young leadership?
Okay, so culture wise, I think Grafana is like one of the, I would say, best cultures out there. So like it's not just me sitting here. So I work, so first of all, like I work remotely with Grafana. So Grafana is a remote first company. So like there are different type of remote companies out there. There is remote optional. There is COVID remote companies that converted to remote because of COVID. And then there are like remote first companies that started out as remote and they have like all their employees remote and they, really, uphold that remote culture. So Grafana is like a remote first company. Everybody, like out of like, we have almost around 700 people now and all of them work remotely out of almost 50 different countries. And I'm the first one joining here from Pakistan. So like it's been like a new experience. So like, so traditional, like, so by the nature of the different amount of cultures and people that we have here, so Grafana has like a very high value of like respect culture and respect for all different cultures around the world. So like a general, like if I just talk about the companies that we usually have here in like Pakistan, there's like that outsourcing model. So generally what happens is that the outsourcing thing is like the people who are outsourced do not get a lot of exposure and they are like they have a different level of knowledge information as compared to the onshore company. But here at Grafana, like even if you are sitting in Australia, Pakistan, Singapore, each and every one of us have like the same level of access to all the information and the same level of, I can say, compensation perks as well. So that's like a really a strong effort by Grafana to keep everyone at an equal state. And like everyone is like super respectful of each other and the culture is like really amazing that they definitely want you to succeed. Like you have a team where you have people and that like no one is in actually competition with each other and everyone has like a motivation to help each and everyone succeed. So that's like a very different thing that I've seen here in Grafana as compared to the past companies that I've worked in.
Yeah, I'm sure Grafana is very lucky to have you on board. So other than that, first of all, I'll lead by apologizing that we have to do this at like 3 a.m. your time. But comment on the fact that since you're a young parent as well, and considering that you have to work when it's night for you, for your American clients and whatnot. So tell us a little bit about how that experience has been for you, since whenever I must say that your family might be awake when you're sleeping and the other way around, I guess. So how do you balance that in life?
Yes, so like just talking about this, if I go step back a little bit from Grafana, like in my past company, like in Affinity that I've worked for like 5 years, so there I had like a very client-based job. Like we were assigned to different clients and we provided sort of like high-level technical support to them. So there, the time zone issue was like quite big. So I worked with clients with all over the time zones. I worked with US clients, UK clients, and most recently Australian, Japanese, and Korean clients as well. So there you had to like follow your client time zones. But here at Grafana, their first and foremost, effort is to, they ask you to follow your 9 to 5 or your 11 to 7 or your whatever you're comfortable with. You can even you break your, work day down into two different types. So like here, managing time zone is a bit difficult. Yeah, like, but there's like, everybody has his own preference. So although I do want to go back to the morning 9 to 5, but since I've been in the working in this time zone for so long, it's like a bit hard. So what I have like how I have adjusted my life is that I do all the family stuff, all the fun stuff, and everything else in the morning. And like when and like I do take the meetings and stuff like in the day because you have like it's a 30 minutes meeting, 1 hour meeting. But the core focus time, like if this recording or like any other work in which you have to sit down, don't get interrupted for like a couple of hours, that I've like put it for the very late of the night where everyone's asleep and I can purely focus on it. And that helps me to get like something that I would do in 2 hours in the morning, I'll just do it in 30 minutes now. So that's like I have adjusted my life around it.
Man, you're a working vampire.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So considering that your role is very client focused, so tell us a little bit about what kind of technical as well as personality traits one should have in order to be successful. Because as far as I can tell you about the telecom industry, honestly, it's really hard, and client always has their say. They want us to do things their way and whatnot, and maybe rightly we should as well. But tell us a little bit about how one can succeed both technically as well as in terms of the non technical skills.
Yes, so like the current role is not as much client focused as the previous one was, but I can speak to both because since I like worked in 5 years in a client facing role as well. So in a client facing role, I think like we used to have like a very core technical team at our back, and so we were like sort of you can say sort of an integration between the clients and our technical teams. So we had to deal both with the technical people as well as the client people to gather requirements, business stuff. So I think the most key skill in succeeding in a client facing role in a technical company is to understand technology at a very good level, not the highest level that you have to know each and every line of code how it works, but know it from like an operational perspective, like what does this component do, what does. And then you also have to understand the commercial aspect of it. For example, like if you're working in a production environment, like we used to work with call centers that had like a very large number of calls coming in, and so you have to understand that like technical issues, slowdowns, latency, breakdowns, what commercial impact, how does that translate into a lost dollar. So a person who understands that connection very well, both technically and like commercially, can really be that bridge between the people who are like fully technical and the people who are commercial to provide a path forward and find a solution between them. So I think that's like one of the core technical skills: understand technology but also understand commercial aspect of technology to a certain level to understand both of these things.
Perfect. And Shahzeb, considering the fact that you've been into the startup world and you've been into the corporate hustle as well, so tell us a little bit about how do you compare both environments in essence?
Yeah, so the company that I started, like if I talk about my previous company in Affinity, so when I started, it was like almost about the same size as Grafana is right now. It used to be like 500, 600 people. But yeah, it was like a very like startup environment back then because projects used to move like really quickly. So you get like a very big project. So the company, hustle to get resources and, align everything very quickly. So it used to be like a very fun and challenging environment that you have to, come up with solutions in a smart way to cut down deployment down time and to cut down, you cannot stuck into like corporate methods that you have to, okay, I can do this because of this, I can do this because you have to like really own the stuff and get everything done. Whereas like the company started to grow big and big and big, and then like it's not the fault of the company, it's the fault of the size as well. That then like policies come into it now that now you have like a very big information security team. So something that you used to get like even without asking anyone, now you have to like email 6 different people and get approvals. So that really slows it down. So I would say like a person who loves challenges, who likes to think out of the box, who likes to create solutions out of the box, like for that kind of a person a startup environment was very good. But a person who is like a more disciplined person, likes procedures, SOPs, and there are people like out there, I wouldn't say that everyone is like you very fond of the startup world. There are people. That's why like when companies become very big, co-founders step down and bring in CEOs who bring in discipline, procedures and stuff, because that's what you need to do. So like for those kind of people who are good at setting procedures, discipline, having them followed, and understanding the priority of discipline, everything, for those people the corporate hustle is very good. But for people who enjoy the the hustle and stuff, it's like the startup culture is very good.
So Shahzeb, you've done your undergrad from FAST and then you transitioned to LUMS for your MBA. And since both of them are the top tier educational institutes in Pakistan, how was the cultural shift for you and how was your experience?
Yes, so I think I cannot do like an apples to apples comparison because I did like an undergraduate degree in FAST and a master's degree in LUMS. And both these, like the undergraduate and masters, is like a totally different league. People who are in masters are at a different stage of their life. They are like of varying ages and sizes, and like everybody has like, and they're like certainly of some level of more maturity into them as compared to undergrad. So like I can say I cannot do an apples to apples comparison, but yeah, I think culture wise I would say that like contrary to the popular opinion, I did not find like a very huge difference between the both of the institutions. I would have to say that FAST, like the way we did our degree there, had a like very good culture as well of like pushing people, pushing to work hard and applying yourself. And LUMS, like also again like LUMS, its flagship degree MBA also has like a very different culture. So MBA itself is also much different from a lot of other master degrees. So MBA, what I say to many people, is more like a training program. Like you go to become an army officer, you go to the military academy for 2 years. So so MBA is also like that. That for the 2 years, those people instill some very core habits into you, like time management, discipline, and they basically mold your thinking of thinking about different things differently. So it's like, so the MBS culture was like that, asking us to apply our mind commercially, management wise, on each aspect of our life, of each aspect of anything that we work on.
Right, right. So you've been very technical in your career, and now you switch gears and gotten an MBA. So how do you see that? How do these two paths intersect or maybe differentiate from each other? That either you can get an MBA and go towards the management side, or maybe you can get a PhD and go towards the technical side and maybe eventually become a CTO in your career. So how do you compare the two paths? Like, what made you choose MBA for yourself?
So I have, like, after I did my bachelor's degree and I like started to work on stuff. So I have been like very fond of how stuff works technically from the very start. Even when I like had to choose my bachelor's degree, it was like between EE and CS, and like I didn't have much of awareness back then that what's good, but I knew that I have to go into a technical degree, and like it worked out very well. I went into electrical engineering, that I had a lot of software experience as well. So MBA for me was like something that I have like planned at the very start as well. So like after doing my bachelor's, I worked in some very big companies. I also worked on like freelance development, creating my own products and stuff. So for me, I thought like the technical amount of stuff that I know right now is good enough for me. I don't want to like get any other degree to dive much into deeper into that. But I've always like wanted to make solutions, technical solutions that also make sense commercially. So like I was always very fascinated by the stuff that these companies that make millions of dollars, that raise millions of dollars. How does all of these zeros and ones and coding eventually converts into dollars, and how you run like how you benefit commercially from a technology. So that's why I chose the MBA degree. And like I think the most unique thing about my experience, I would say that in our first class, when we have like introductions with everyone in the MBA class, there were like 60 people. And everyone was like, I used to be an engineer. I worked for 2 years at a plant. Now I hate engineering and I'm coming into MBA and I want to change my field. And I'm the only person who told that I've been working in tech for like the past 3 years. I love tech and I have came here not to change my degrees, but to, supplement myself with that commercial knowledge so I can combine those two. So that's the eventual like path for, MBA for me.
Honestly, man, yeah. I would circle back to the same thing that I said earlier, that Grafana is very lucky to have you on board, considering that it's like, what if you make a product that can never be commercially made, right? Exactly. Let's say it's a perfect product, but it can never find a market because nobody can afford to buy it, right? Exactly. Then there's no point of making it, right? Point in making it.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, in your opinion, do you think that one should keep stepping up the corporate ladder within a firm, or do you think it's more useful when someone's young to switch companies and maybe get more experience that way?
I would definitely say it depends on company to company, but most importantly, I would say that it really depends on you. So like I would like give sort of a philosophical answer to this, because I have like worked with many young people, and now like I don't consider myself freshy because now we have like 6 years of work experience. I see new people coming into companies, so I've looked at them. So like in this world, eventually, if you want to achieve something, if you want to grow, eventually you have to take care of yourself. No matter how good the company is, if it's Google, like Google even pays your family after you die. Okay, so even if it's like that sort of a company, but there is no person in the world that is gonna wholeheartedly take care of you. You are responsible for your own career. So at any time, at any company, no matter how good it is, if personally you feel that, okay, you are now at a wall, that you're not learning anymore, you are not growing anymore, so you have to like make a decision. Like what I generally used to do is like if I made like conscious decisions. If I'm at a like crossroads that I have to now leave this company and go something else. But even if I stay for 6 months road, there used to be a planning behind it that okay, it's like good money. I'll just stay on for like a couple of experiment with some other stuff, and if I find an opportunity, I'll say. So always make a conscious decision. Like, don't like stay there for 3 years and then rant about your company for the rest of your life. I was so good, I was so talented, they never recognized me and stuff. So that is something that is something that's never gonna get you everywhere. So I was like, always be responsible for your own career. Never blame your boss. Never blame your company. If you have a bad boss and if you have like stuck for him for like the last 5 years and never said anything about it, it's on you. It's not on your boss. It's not your company. Companies do say that, okay, tell us when you have a problem. Even the CEO says that if nothing else works, come to me. I'll solve it. And even if the CEO is not solving it for you, you have the right to leave. But like, it's like always make a conscious decision. And even if you're putting up with something, there should be like a planning behind it, that what is the reason I'm putting up with this and what is my next move. Yeah.
Honestly, man, after these pearls of wisdom, I need to ask you, who are your mentors? How did you connect with them? And what's your take on mentoring in general?
Yeah. Again, like I would like to just, give a slightly different answer to this. So I have never like believed in the whole mentor and stuff. I do believe in taking inspirations from like other people's and getting inspired. Okay, he's like doing something good, and but like even within inspirations, I'm never like generic inspirations. Okay, oh, I want to be him like him. So every person is that good at something. You take inspiration in from like for in that line of field from him, that this person is very good at this. I would be like to have like some talent like this. But there can be like no mentor for you in this whole world, because like if you like believe in the universe and stuff, each person's journey is gonna be different. So like there are like 7 billion people, every person is gonna have a different journey. Regarding like mentorship, I'll just give a like very small example to explain what I mean. So when so I did my full-time MBA from LUMS, which is like a very rigorous and tough program. Alongside, I also kept my full-time job at Affinity. So how did that happen was because I was working in the US time zones in Affinity, and like at that times offices were open, universities were open. I had to go to university and then I had to go to the office. So, but how did I come through was that like I wanted to leave the job at one point, but my boss said that okay, you're working in a very critical position right now, so you just continue and we'll figure it out. And like eventually we just started doing it, days at the university, nights at the office, doing case studies in the meeting rooms and stuff. And it eventually worked out. And, like I like completed my whole degree and everything and got my job as well. And I also like worked with the same company for like another year after my MBA. So like it worked out. But just before joining, like there were people who were saying that, oh, you should go ask someone who's done a full-time MBA that even is it possible to do like keep a job something like this, or you should leave. So I always used to say that I don't think there has been any person before me. I think there hasn't been, or there will be like a very small chance that there have been a very person before me who was in the same circumstances, who had a job like at this company at a US time zone, and who also loved tech and business, who wanted to live it. So I think there is no person in the world that can give me advice in that matter, like exact advice. They can like give me some sort of advice, but this is a path that I would have to track myself and find out. And I have looked, I did this, so now I'm like sort of a mentor of like a person doing a full-time job and a full-time MBA. But again, I don't think I'll be able to mentor anybody, because there's no other person who will have the same circumstances, same kind of boss, same kind of company, same kind of family circumstances going through this. So I would say that, to make your own path, to go towards your own self, you stop looking for mentors, look for inspirations, and like learn a bit from everyone instead of following that one person and whatever he says. Like that's my whole take on mentorship. Yeah.
No, that's actually very profound. And you have a very deep vision. And I think that's very helpful, and not that everybody has the same thing at this young age. So I think that's an asset. So anyways, moving forward, I need to ask you that you are in the cloud domain, which is a very fast-paced industry. And, AWS is doing something new every year, every month. Azure is doing something. GCP has rolled out a new feature and whatnot, right? So how do you keep yourself up to date with these changing trends in the IT industry?
So I think like the best way to learn is also to like actually work with a at a company, or at least with a product associated with one of these. So, and like when you're working with like on things like this, you learn a lot. But like I think I have learned the most, like I would say, like from my freelancing career, because like in whatever company I worked at, so it's like there's this big mega huge project, and you're always given like a very small line of thing to be responsible for, and develop it and maintain it. So when we like I used to work in the like freelancing domain, so we created like whole SaaS products for people. They used to be like not huge products, like for example when we launched we had like 200 300 subscribers, but through the journey you get to experience everything. You get to experience how you create a server in Google Cloud, what are the different storage options, how you create an API, how you buy a domain, how you buy a certificate, what is encryption, what is HTTPS. So I have learned through like I've like done almost like 55 different projects in the freelance, and I still consult and do a development as if I get time on the side as well. But I have learned the most by fully creating projects from end to end, and I would attribute my learning to all that freelancing experience.
So now we are transitioning towards the conclusion of our discussion. And honestly, Shahzeb, I'm having a great time talking to you right now. And in this section, we're just going to be having more of a rapid fire thing. And whatever the first thought comes to your mind, you just say that. So, with that, what things excite you in life in general?
uh, I think technology, I would say.
All right. And if you could have a superpower to solve one global issue, what is it going to be?
I think water wastage. Water wastage.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I think about
Yeah.
it every morning,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, I think about it a lot. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Um, do more practical stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
And if our audience were to connect dots with you, are you having an active LinkedIn presence?
Yes, they can reach out to me on LinkedIn and messages, and I'll respond. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So let's conclude our conversation here, Shahzeb. Thank you so much once again for being here. I had a lot to learn from you, and honestly,
Thank you.
you seem like a visionary leader to me, and I wish you all
Thank
the
you.
best in your career. So for our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. And this podcast is going to be available on all major platforms. If you haven't done so already, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And if you like the content, please share it with your friends and family. And until the next episode, take care and see you soon. Bye.